The gavel cracked like a gunshot in the stale air of the town hall, but it was her voice that shattered me. "Dad, you're stealing from us all." Sharp as the winter wind slicing through Milford's cracked sidewalks. I froze in the back row, my heart slamming against my ribs, because I'd known Ellie Hayes since we were kids trading baseball cards under the bleachers. And this wasn't the girl who'd baked me cookies after my mom died. No, this was a storm breaking, and Sebastian, Sebastian, was right there on stage, his hand still on her father's shoulder, the betrayal in his eyes hitting me harder than any lie we'd whispered in the dark. I'd always thought innocence was a shield, something Ellie wore like her faded Levi's and that lopsided smile. But that night in July, under the fluorescent buzz of the council chambers, it cracked wide open. Milford, Ohio, population 8,247. Heartland as they come with its red brick Main Street and Friday night lights that lit up more dreams than it did fields, was rotting from the inside. And I, Ronan Whitaker, 28-year-old nobody with a community college degree in journalism and a beat-up Ford Focus, was the fool who'd fallen for the guy at the center of it all. Sebastian Reyes had rolled into town 3 years back, fresh out of some poli-sci program at Ohio State, with that easy grin and olive skin that made you forget the world was unfair. He was the mayor's golden boy, chief of staff by 26, whispering policy into Harlan Hayes' ear like it was scripture. We met at the VFW hall during a veterans fundraiser. I was covering it for the Milford Gazette, scribbling notes on napkins while nursing a Bud Light. He bought me around, leaned in close over the din of old war stories and said, "You write like you give a damn, Whitaker. That's rare around here." By closing time, we were out back by the dumpsters, his lips on mine tasting like whiskey and possibility, the kind of kiss that rewires your brain. From there, it was stolen moments. Late-night drives down Route 23, his hand on my thigh as cornfields blurred by. Mornings in my cramped apartment above the hardware store, sunlight filtering through blinds we'd never fix, his laugh echoing off the walls when I'd burn the toast. Sebastian was out to his family back in Cleveland, but here in Milford, where the church steeple still judged from the hill, he played it straight for the job. "It's just optics, Ro," he'd murmur into my neck, fingers tracing the scar on my collarbone from a childhood bike wreck. "Once Harlan's re-elected, we can go public. Build something real." I believed him because loving him felt like the first honest thing in my life since Dad walked out when I was 10. Leaving Mom to sling coffee at the diner till her hands shook. Ellie was the wild card, Harlan's 22-year-old daughter, home from her gap year backpacking through the Rockies. She had that wide-eyed glow, all freckles and wild curls, volunteering at the animal shelter and organizing bake sales for the Little League. To the town, she was apple pie incarnate, innocent as the 4th of July fireworks over the Quarry Lake. But I saw the edges. The way she'd quiz me over coffee about council votes, her green eyes narrowing when I dodged the dirtier details. "You're too good at this reporter thing, Ronan," she'd tease. But there was steel underneath, forged in the Hayes household where Harlan ruled like a king on a thrift store throne. Harlan Hayes had been mayor for a decade, promising pothole fixes and youth centers that never materialized. Whispers started last spring, kickbacks from the construction firm bidding on the new rec center, zoning favors for his buddy's strip mall. I chased leads like a dog after scraps. Anonymous tips about falsified bids. A blurry photo of Harlan shaking hands with a developer in a Cleveland steakhouse. Sebastian swore it was nothing. Small-town politics, babe. Everyone scratches backs. But doubt gnawed at me, especially after I found that envelope in his glove box. Cash-stuffed, no note, during one of our drives. He brushed it off as a campaign contribution. But his eyes flickered, and I let it slide because walking away from him felt like amputating a limb. The tension built like thunderheads over Lake Erie. Ellie started shadowing me, borrowing my laptop to research grant applications for her shelter project. We'd hole up in the Gazette's back office, surrounded by stacks of yellowed clippings and the hum of my ancient desktop. One rainy Tuesday, she burst in, soaked to the bone, clutching a USB drive like it was Excalibur. "Ronan, you have to see this." Her voice trembled, but her jaw was set. Files upon files, emails from Harlan to the developer, bank transfers rerouted through shell accounts, even audio of a council meeting where votes were bought with six-packs and promises. He's embezzling from the rec center fund, the one for kids like us, the ones who grew up with nothing. I stared at the screen, the pieces slamming together. Sebastian's late nights, his sudden silences, the way he'd tense when Harlan's name came up. Ellie, this could destroy him. Your dad. She nodded, tears carving tracks down her cheeks. I know, but it's destroying us already. And Seb, he's in it too, isn't he? Covering for him. My stomach dropped. I'd suspected, buried it deep under love and denial, but hearing it from her, it was a knife twist. That night, I confronted him in the park by the band shell, where we'd first said, I love you, under a canopy of fireflies. The air was thick with humidity, crickets chirping like accusations. Tell me it's not true. Seb, tell me you didn't know. He paced, running hands through his dark hair, the street lamp casting harsh shadows on his face. Ro, it's complicated. Harlan gave me a shot when no one else would. A queer kid from the wrong side of the tracks. I thought I could steer him straight, fix it from inside. His voice cracked. But yeah, I signed off on some transfers. It was supposed to be temporary, just to keep the lights on. Betrayal hit like a freight train. Temporary? You're stealing from orphans and single moms scraping by on food stamps. I shouted, my voice echoing off the empty bleachers. He grabbed my arm, desperate. I did it for us, for a future where we don't have to hide. Once the rec center's built, the jobs come in, we expose the rest quietly. Lies, all of it, wrapped in that velvet voice I'd fallen for. I yanked away, chest heaving. You're just like him. Power over people. He reached for me again, eyes pleading, but I turned and walked into the dark, the gravel crunching under my boots like breaking bones. The days blurred into a fever dream. Ellie and I plotted in whispers, her innocence morphing into fierce resolve. She wanted to go public at the next council meeting, Labor Day weekend, packed house for the budget vote. It's now or never, Ronan. For Milford. I hesitated, torn between loyalty to her and the ghost of what Seb and I had. But seeing her, small but unyielding, like the wildflowers pushing through sidewalk cracks, I nodded. We printed flyers, leaked teasers to the Gazette's editor, who nearly fired me on the spot, and rallied a few trusted souls. The librarian who'd lost her funding, the mechanic whose shop got rezoned out. The night of the meeting, town hall swelled with bodies. Farmers in flannel, teachers with picket signs, kids fidgeting on folding chairs. Harlan presided from the dais, jovial as ever, cracking jokes about the Buckeyes season. Sebastian sat to his right, tie loosened, avoiding my gaze from across the room. Ellie slipped in late, folder tucked under her arm, her sundress fluttering like a flag of surrender. When her turn came, public comment, 5 minutes. She climbed the steps, voice steady as she laid it bare. Dates, amounts, names. Gasps rippled through the crowd like wind through wheat. Harlan's face drained of color. He hammered the gavel, but she didn't stop. This isn't just theft. It's a betrayal of every dream we pinned on this town. Chaos erupted. Shouts, chairs scraping, flashbulbs from the one local TV crew. Harlan lunged for the mic, sputtering denials, but Ellie held firm, tears flowing freely now. And then, God, the moment that seared into me. Sebastian stood, slow as dawn, his hand hovering near hers on the podium. For a split second, I thought redemption. He'd confess, stand with her, but he turned to Harlan, murmuring low, "Sir, we need to adjourn." His eyes flicking to me with something like apology. Betrayal, round 2. Ellie saw it too. Her hand trembled, but she pressed on, voice rising. Even those closest to you, Dad, even Sebastian, chose silence over truth. The room exploded. Cops were called, irony of ironies, on Harlan's dime, but the crowd surged, blocking the exits. Phones lit up, videos going viral before the ink dried on the arrest warrants. Harlan was cuffed right there, blustering about family loyalty, while Ellie collapsed into a chair, sobbing as neighbors who'd praised her pies now stared in awe. I pushed through the throng, dropping to my knees beside her. You did it, Elle. You saved us. She clutched my hand, whispering, not without you, Ronan. And I'm sorry about Seb. He was gone by the time the dust settled. Slipped out a side door, leaving a note on my windshield that night. I thought I was protecting what mattered. Forgive me or don't. Just know I loved you true. No calls, no texts. Word came weeks later. He'd taken a job in Columbus, anonymous staffer for some state rep, starting over without the baggage. I drove by his old place once, the for rent sign flapping like a white flag, and punched the wheel till my knuckles bled. Milford healed slow, like a bruise fading under flannel. The rec center broke ground that fall, funded clean by state oversight, with a plaque for E. Hayes' Voice of Integrity. Ellie ran for council at 23, winning by a landslide. She still bakes those cookies, but now they're for strategy sessions, her curls pinned back with purpose. Me? I stayed at the Gazette, promoted to editor after my expose hit the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Dates came and went, coffee with a barista from Akron, a fumbling kiss at the Harvest Festival, but none stuck like Seb's ghost. Winter brought snow that blanketed the Quarry Lake, turning it into a mirror for regrets. One evening, as flurries danced under street lamps, I found myself at the band shell again, breath fogging the air. Footsteps crunched behind me, him, coat dusted white, eyes hollowed by months apart. Ro, he said, voice rough as gravel. No plea, just my name hanging there. I turned, heart a war drum. You broke us, Seb. But Ellie, she showed me what real courage looks like. Not hiding, owning the mess. He nodded, tears freezing on his lashes. I quit the job, came back to testify, full truth, no deals. For her. For you. We stood there, inches apart, the silence thick with what-ifs. I didn't kiss him, not then, but I didn't walk away either. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a slow thaw, built on truths unearthed like roots in Ohio clay. In the end, Milford didn't just survive, it bloomed. Ellie married her college sweetheart last spring. A quiet ceremony by the lake, inviting the whole damn town. Sebastian and I were figuring it. Coffee turns to dinners, walks where hands brush accidental on purpose. Turns out, love in a place like this isn't about perfection. It's about showing up after the storm, scars and all, to rebuild what the flood tried to wash away. And in the heartland, that's as American as it gets.